how's it going? It's Justin from Hans Wargaming. So I finally got the Titan assembled and sanded down. It took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to glue these parts together the best way. I was trying a lot of UV resin, and that works pretty well for certain things. I'm not really a huge fan of using super glue to join resin parts, but I have been using this clear Gorilla Glue. It's not really super glue, but it makes a pretty tight joint. It just takes like half an hour to an hour to dry. So what I'm doing here is I'm using rubber bands and packaging material to support this model while it dries. I will say that the Titan went together pretty well. There was a little bit of play in each of the joints. I had to clean them up a little bit, but they went together pretty well. I was really happy with this kit. But yeah, I highly recommend trying out the clear Gorilla Glue. It's a lot cleaner to work with, and it doesn't really have an odor. I was getting really frustrated using super glue because it didn't make an immediate join. You pretty much had to hold it in place anyway for like 10-20 minutes. I used green stuff to fill in the gaps, and then I sanded that down. It looks a lot better once the primer's on. I had to widen most of the initial drain holes that I made because I made them way too small in my first few prints. I got some 3mm nano UV lights, and I wanted to snake them into those holes. I didn't really have a good way of curing them, so they've been pretty much uncured for a while. So you'll see me drilling some holes into a few of these models, and that's why, so I can get the UV light inside. Setting up the UV lights was a pretty simple process. I just had to connect the wiring up to a 9-volt battery. There are a couple good videos on YouTube of how to do this. I might make one myself at some point. I wanted to show you guys how I fixed the tail on this Tyrant Beast. It didn't quite print right, and it cut off the tail when I printed it, but everything else turned out okay, so I decided to use some Milliput and a little bit of green stuff. I'd say it was like 80% Milliput to 20% green stuff. When you combine the two, you get the flexibility of green stuff and the ease of use of Milliput. I drilled most of the drain holes into the guns and into the mouths when possible, and if that didn't work, I just went through the bottom of the model. And I used the same Milliput and green stuff combination to block up these holes. After I'd cured the inside, you can see here what it looks like when the resin isn't cured on the inside and it bleeds out of these holes. It kind of forms this like glossy crust on the model. Now that I have my nano UV lights, I should hopefully be able to avoid this with my future prints. I learned a lot of lessons on this particular model. For one, I definitely over-cured this model. The Elegoo resin that I used really didn't seem to hold its shape very well. I had to do a lot of repair work to get these pieces to fit together, and I ended up making the stance too wide, but I think it looks okay. I just had to sand the feet down to get it to sit flat. I mean, I pretty much had to do that with all of them anyway. I'm pretty happy with how the tail turned out on the Tyrant Beast. I definitely could have done a better job, but since it was my first attempt, and I've never really done sculpting quite like this before, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. After it was primed, you couldn't really tell that it had been worked on unless you looked at it really close. With the Devourer Beast, I used a combination of resin welding and the clear Gorilla Glue. This one didn't warp nearly as much, and it went together a lot better, but if I were to do another one of these, I would just use the clear Gorilla Glue. And here she is, the Hive Titan herself. This thing is significantly bigger than the other models, but to be fair, I haven't printed out the Invasion Carrier yet. I think that one might be the second largest model. I want to print that one out in one piece because it has a whole bunch of tentacles on it, and I don't really feel like gluing them all together. But it's too big and it won't fit on my print bed, so I might have to wait until I get a larger resin printer to print that one out. I know these don't look as clean as they do on some other channels, and that's mostly because I'm still learning this process, and I don't have consistent parameters yet, but I'm working on it. Hopefully my prints look better in the future, but I mean, for now I'm pretty happy with how these guys look, and it's been a lot of fun printing these guys out and putting them together. If you're not aware, I'm going to put a poll out once this channel hits 500 subs. That's how many subs I need to access the community tab and put out polls. So once I hit 500 subs, I'm going to put a poll out, and you guys are going to get to vote and decide which color scheme I should go with for this army. If you have any suggestions or ideas, put them in the comments below. I'm not saying that I will put them all on the poll, but I will definitely consider any suggestions. So yeah, that's just a little update on my Alien Hives army. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Either way, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you later.